Good morning. I got a call from a buddy, and then another guy I spoke with. One of our mutual friends, one of my oldest, dearest friends, he got arrested. He's in Maryland. He's had this issue with the local police department to a degree, mainly because of a neighbor who's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs that is, called the cops on him like 17 times or something, and they've had their issues. You know how it can be sometimes with a neighbor. And in the end, that went to court, and my buddy won that case. This should be over with. But the police are in that area in this situation. They're like on him, constantly watching him. The guy has no record. He's got no record of violence. I've known him his whole life. He's never even been in a physical altercation. He's not that kind of guy. He's a doctor. He was divorced. He raised two great boys. He's, upstanding citizen. But he could be one of the most annoying people you've ever met. That's just how it is. But being annoying isn't against the law. You know what I'm saying? And he's also just hyper intelligent. Like, this is not a guy that you want to get into an argument with. The truth is, he should go back to school and be an attorney, because this guy could argue anything to the nth degree. I mean, people would just let him win to get him to stop talking. He'd be the most successful attorney ever. But he was in this situation recently where the police come to his house. There was another call made by the neighbor, and they're like, hey, this is 18 times now we had to come out here. So the scenario is, as described to me by his brother, is that he goes out there, because he spent a few days in jail. He goes out there, and there's like 7 officers standing there, and he's talking to him through the window, and eventually he comes outside to talk to him. He's in his front yard, and some officer, apparently, who doesn't identify himself as an officer, and is in plain clothes, hiding in the bushes, runs out from his left and tackles him to the ground, and then all the other cops jump on top of him and beat him up, handcuff him, and arrest him. Now, here's the crazy thing about this. They could have called him on the phone and said, listen, you need to come in and fill out some paperwork, or we have a warrant for you, or whatever, and he would have showed up. They could have knocked on his door and said, excuse me, but we have these issues, you need to come with us, and we just need to work this out. And he would have complied. They could have had a 120-pound female officer knock on his door and say, sir, we need you to do this, I need to take you in. He would have complied. Before this, I don't know how soon before, but apparently pretty recently, there's a story where he was in his house, in his bedroom, and he heard the front door open. And then he heard footsteps coming up his stairs, and he goes out of his bedroom. There's 2 cops in his house walking up the stairs. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing in my house? And they said, well, there was a call, the dogs are barking. This guy's got 2 basset hounds that don't bark. They never bark. They're probably licking the cops when they came in, right? He's like, you just break into my house? Like, what if I had a gun? I could have shot you, which is the wrong thing to say to them, admittedly. But this guy doesn't think in those terms. He just thinks in terms of him being right. And he thinks he's right about everything, and he's not a lot of the time. But he can argue a point to the point where you will just end the conversation with him, and he'll think he's right just because he's worn you down. This guy will just wear you out, man. He will just wear you out. He won't wear me out. If I want to stand my ground with him, I will butt heads with him until he basically apologizes, eventually admits that he was wrong and I was right. But I don't have that kind of energy. Like, if you put me through that, I basically can't talk to you for a while, because you took like an hour off my life, my lifespan. You just shortened my existence because you made me have to go through that. But now this person, the reason why he has been able to develop this type of personality, and this is the point I wanted to make, because I want to kind of compare it to women at the same time, is he's a giant human being. He's just a giant guy. When you're that big of a human being, you can go through life saying whatever you want to people, and they don't, they're going to let you get away with it. It's like being a woman, right? Generally speaking, women, as we grow up as children, girls could pretty much say whatever they want to say to people and nobody punches them in the mouth. I'm not advocating violence and punching people in the mouth or any of that. But, it's that's how I came up. Many times when I was young, I was in a situation where, I said the wrong thing and to the wrong person, and garbage can blocking this driveway, and I got punched in the mouth. And then I learned, at least with that particular person, you can't push them that far, or I learned, I got to adjust my behavior, right? That's how I learned. It's the same thing with women. Women, you get to a point now, how many have been out there where a woman's been upset and she said the most horrific things and just berated you and tried to make you look foolish and will just dig, even in public. That's because nobody ever cracked her one. Again, I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying there used to be this thing, I've mentioned this before in my videos, called knocking sense into somebody. That's kind of the attitude the cops have, I suppose. So it's anyhow, he's in this screwed up situation where in the end, there's going to end up being a civil suit. He's going to win it. And the irony is that's going to somewhat legitimize his behavior. He's going to think, well, I won. I'm right. So we can't win. There's still going to be, he's got a perfect excuse not to address himself and adjust his behavior. But I'm just saying, being annoying and being a jerk, any of that stuff, that's not illegal. It's not against the law. You don't deserve to get arrested and beat up because you mouth off. At the same time, I think that the growing process that we go through, right, as young people, part of that should be getting beat up. I know that sounds archaic and Neanderthal and all that. You learn so much. You learn so much from getting punched in the face. Well, I mentioned this before. I had an uncle. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. And I don't remember. I was probably like 11, 12, something like that. He started coming over the house and putting gloves on me and teaching me how to fight, how to box. And he beat the crap. He'd get on his knees, put his gloves on, just bam, bam, bam. Actually, it would be with the left, but the steering wheel's in my hand, in my way here. And he taught me about distance, range, how you have that close range with somebody who's taller than you to negate their maximum effective range and get to yours, and leverage and twisting everything it takes to fight. And getting hit in the face by a grown man, 12 years old, was the best thing that happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. I can't tell you how many times that's saved my life or made a situation. I've been sucker punched. I've literally been in bar fights when I was in the Corps, like at E-clubs. Guys can tell you what happens there. I had a friend walk out of a bathroom one time. He had no idea the fight had broke out. He got hit right in the face with a beer bottle. He's got a scar. It goes all the way around his eye socket here. We would get in these crazy, like, saloon, movie saloon brawls. And many times I've been sucker punched. Parties, that sort of thing. I turn my head, I look back, well, bam! And when you don't go down, and you don't grab your face and cry or whatever, and I'm not really a bleeder. I've been punched in the nose a lot. It doesn't just blow up and start bleeding. And you just, and you look at somebody like, hey, that rattles people. That rattles them. So it was good. But again, it also just, that and other things that happened to me when I was young taught me how to be a better human being. I'm a better human being. Jordan Peterson has this quote that I will bastardize right now, but it's, you can't claim to be a peaceful person if you're not capable of great violence. If you're not capable of violence, then you're harmless. If you're harmless, then you're not choosing to be peaceful, you're just harmless, right? It's people who are capable of great violence who choose to be peaceful. I'm not sure I got that right, but I think you get the point. So, I don't know, man. Anyhow, my buddy, he's going through this phase of life, and he's going to have to deal with this now, and in the end, he's going to win. So if you watch this, man, and you end up getting some sort of settlement, take care of your friends. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys got a kick out of this one, but there's some good points here I'm making. I'm not saying you need to agree with me, by the way. I'm not looking for an argument. You know who you are. You know who you are. Some of you people just like to want to, I can tell by the questions or the statements, the posts, the comments underneath the videos sometimes. I will delete them just because. I don't participate in every argument I'm invited to. You know what I'm saying? Life's too short. Anyhow, thanks for being here. Have a great day. I hope you guys are having a good day. Be good to one another. Try to help one another out, right? We only have so much time on this planet. Yes, I think it'd be great if we were all just really nice to everybody. And not everybody has the same mindset. Not everybody has the same personality. Not everybody came up the same way. I truly believe, as a young human being, you should encounter as much of these life-learning things, including violence. Not to turn you into a violent person, but you need to know what that is, and you need to learn how to deal with it. Same thing with bullying and everything else. You need to learn how to deal with those kinds of people, because the world that you're going out into is not a safe space. It's not a safe space. If you have children and you're raising them that way, where they're in like this cocoon of love, and good for you. Those kids, it's very important. Love, you got to hug and tell people you love them. And you also need to teach them about the real world. They need to have real world experiences where they get hurt, their feelings get hurt, and they have to learn how to deal with that. They're going to be a better human being for it, and the rest of us will thank you for it, because that's one less annoying person the rest of us have to deal with. You understand what I'm saying here? Again, be good to one another. Do the best you can. Giving people a little bit of your time, it's the best thing you could do. So anyhow, if you got a friend who's kind of annoying, do your best to deal with it, and there's nothing wrong with telling them that. Whether or not they're going to listen and make any changes, I don't know. But at least you told them. Don't die with those. You don't want to go out with laying there sick and dying thinking, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have confronted this person. No. Do it right now. Do it right now. I'll catch you guys in the next one.